The old iron bridge groaned, a rusty lament against the night. Beneath it, the creek chuckled, a sound less than cheerful, more like a knowing murmur. Locals called it Crybaby Bridge. They told stories. Whispers carried on the wind. They said beneath the full moon, the bridge woke, not with a bang, but a whimper, a child's cry, echoing through the stillness. Some dismissed it as an owl's mournful call. Others, they knew better. They knew the sorrow that clung to the rusted iron, the despair that seeped from the murky water.
Double dare you, Jake snickered, nudging Max's shoulder.
Max shifted, uncomfortable. Jake's dare hung in the air, heavy as the humid summer night.
Walk across Crybaby Bridge at midnight, alone.
Max, all lanky limbs and nervous energy, swallowed hard. He wasn't one for local legends. He preferred his scares on a screen, safely removed. But Jake, with his cocky grin and unwavering gaze, had a way of making doubt feel like cowardice.
Scared, Maxie?
Jake taunted, drawing out the nickname. Max hated that nickname. He hated even more the way his pulse quickened, his palms dampened. He hated that Jake knew, without a doubt, that he'd accept the dare. The bridge creaked in protest with each step Max took. The sound echoed through the night, a haunting reminder of the isolation that surrounded him. Each creak seemed louder than the last, as if the bridge itself was warning him to turn back. The air grew thick, heavy with the scent of damp earth and something else, something metallic and ancient. It was a smell that seemed to cling to his skin, making it hard to breathe. The fog wrapped around him like a shroud, obscuring his vision and amplifying his fear. The moon, shrouded in a veil of thin clouds, cast long, dancing shadows. These shadows seemed to move with a life of their own, twisting and turning in the mist. They played tricks on his eyes, making him see things that weren't there, or perhaps things that were. A twig snapped behind him. The sound was sharp and sudden, cutting through the oppressive silence. It was a small noise, but in the stillness of the night, it was enough to send a jolt of fear through his body.
Max whirled around, heart hammering against his ribs. His breath came in short, ragged gasps as he scanned the darkness for any sign of movement. Every shadow seemed to hide a threat, every rustle of leaves a potential danger. Nothing, just the wind rustling through the trees, whispering secrets in a language he couldn't understand. The forest seemed to be alive, its ancient trees creaking and groaning as if sharing in his fear.
He told himself it was just the wind. He tried to convince himself that there was nothing to fear, that his imagination was playing tricks on him. But the feeling of being watched was too strong to ignore. He repeated it like a mantra, trying to drown out the unease coiling in his gut. Just the wind, he whispered to himself, over and over, as if saying it enough times would make it true. He quickened his pace, each clang of his footfall echoing in the stillness. The faster he walked, the louder the echoes became, until it felt like the night itself was mocking his fear. The air vibrated with an unnatural energy, pressing down on him, stealing his breath. It was as if the very atmosphere was charged with a malevolent force, intent on driving him to the brink of panic. He wasn't alone. He could feel it. The sensation of being watched grew stronger with each passing moment. A cold, creeping dread that settled in his bones. A presence, cold and mournful, watching him from the shadows. It was a feeling that went beyond mere paranoia, a certainty that something unseen and malevolent was lurking just out of sight, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. He was halfway across when he heard it. A soft sob, carried on the wind, almost like a whisper. A child's cry, filled with an unbearable sorrow, echoing through the night. It seemed to seep from the very core of the bridge, resonating through the iron, echoing in his bones, as if the bridge itself was weeping. His blood turned to ice, his heart pounding in his chest. Every instinct screamed at him to run, to flee from the source of the chilling sound. To get away from the chilling sound that pierced the night, a sound that seemed to claw at his very soul.
But his feet felt rooted to the spot, as if the bridge held him captive. His body paralyzed by a fear so profound it stole his breath, leaving him gasping in the cold night air.
The cry grew louder, closer, more desperate. It was coming from the water below, the dark, murky depths. He forced himself to look down, his gaze drawn to the murky depths, his heart racing. The water churned, a swirling vortex of darkness, as if something was stirring beneath the surface.
And then he saw it, a shadowy figure emerging from the depths, its eyes glowing with an eerie light.
Two eyes,
Glowing with an eerie, otherworldly light.
they stared up at him from the black water, filled with a sorrow that transcended words.
A hand, small and pale, broke the surface, clutching at the air.
His fear warred with a sudden overwhelming sense of pity.
A desperate cry for help from something lost and alone. It was a plea. He knew somehow that the cry wasn't a threat.
He could help. He had to help. He took a step closer to the edge, his hand reaching out involuntarily.
But a voice, cold and sharp, cut through the fog of his fear.
Don't.
Jake's voice, closer than Max expected, startled him. He hadn't heard him approach.
It's just a story, Max. Don't be stupid.
But Jake hadn't seen the eyes. He hadn't heard the cry that ripped through Max's heart, leaving it raw and exposed. He didn't understand the pull, the desperate need to reach out and offer comfort.
Let's go.
Jake said, his hand closing around Max's arm. His grip was tight, insistent, pulling Max back from the edge, back from the chilling sorrow that emanated from the water. They didn't speak as they walked back, Jake's hand still clamped around Max's arm. But as they reached the end of the bridge, the cry erupted again, louder this time, filled with a new note of despair.
Gasp.
Max stumbled, his feet rooted to the spot. He couldn't just leave. He had to do something. But Jake pulled him forward, his grip unyielding. And then the bridge groaned. A deep, shuddering groan that reverberated through the night. The wind picked up, swirling around them, laced with the scent of damp earth and that same metallic tang. The scent of loss. Max tore his gaze from the bridge, his blood turning to ice. He looked at Jake, but the face staring back at him wasn't Jake's. It was a grotesque mockery of it, twisted in a silent scream, eyes wide and vacant.
Jake?
The hand on his arm tightened, the grip like a vice. And then, with a sickening lurch, Jake was gone. Vanished into thin air. Swallowed whole by the swirling darkness that clung to the bridge. Max stood alone, the wind whipping around him, carrying the echo of Jake's laughter, cruel and mocking. Or maybe it wasn't laughter. Maybe it was the cry of a child, forever lost and searching for a way home. He ran then, his breath catching in his throat, the image of Jake's vacant eyes seared into his mind. He didn't look back. He never went back. The forest seemed to close in around him, the shadows growing longer and darker with each step. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig sent a jolt of terror through his body. He could feel the weight of the night pressing down on him, suffocating him with its oppressive silence. But the memory lingered, a chilling whisper in the back of his mind. The bridge remained. It stood there, an ominous presence, a reminder of that fateful night. The fog would roll in, thick and heavy, shrouding the bridge in an eerie mist. It was as if the bridge itself was alive, breathing, waiting. a silent sentinel against the night sky. Its silhouette was a dark, foreboding shape against the stars, a constant reminder of the past. The bridge seemed to watch, to wait, as if it knew the secrets of the night. And sometimes, when the wind was just right, he could swear he heard it. The wind would howl through the trees, carrying with it the echoes of the past. It was a sound that chilled him to the bone, a reminder that some things could never be forgotten. A soft sob carried on the breeze. It was a sound that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. A ghostly whisper that spoke of sorrow and loss. It was a sound that haunted his dreams, a reminder of the night he could never escape. A plea lost on the wind, a cry for help that would never be answered. It was a sound that filled him with a sense of dread, a reminder that some things were beyond his control.
Whispering. Had Jake found his way home? Or was he still out there, lost in the darkness, searching for a way back? The question gnawed at him, a constant presence in his mind. Or was he still out there, wandering the darkness, forever bound to the bridge and its mournful cry? The thought was almost too much to bear. The idea that Jake was still out there, trapped in the night, was a weight that he carried with him every day.
And he would wonder, with a shiver down his spine, had Jake found his way home? The question would come to him in the quiet moments, when he was alone with his thoughts. It was a question that had no answer, a mystery that would never be solved. Or was he still out there, wandering the darkness, forever bound to the bridge and its mournful cry? The bridge stood as a testament to that night, a reminder of the past that could never be forgotten. It was a place of sorrow, of loss, and of unanswered questions.